Hello, my name's Thomas Beck. I'm the station manager of WMPA Channel 5, a small municipally owned public access cable station. Operates out of Miami County, Ohio, village of West Milton, in the good old United States of America. Anyway, giving me a chance here to play around with some of the newer equipment which we've bought in the past year or two and see how well it meshes and works together. And I thought I'd also take the opportunity to highlight some of the differences with the software control panel of the two of our products, being the Blackmagic Atem 1 and the Blackmagic Television Studio. Camera I'm looking at right now, we bought in 2012. It's a Canon X8n. We own a couple of these. Outstanding cameras, wonderful for small public access use, perfect size, has good range, a lot of flexibility in terms of how you input audio. Fantastic low light situations, which if anyone who works public access, especially a smaller station, as you know, you do a lot of event recording and event programming, and you don't always have control over the lighting situation in the facility. I'm also using the Canon accessory microphone. It's a Bluetooth mic. I think it's the WV1, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check it out here. It's the WMV1, I'm sorry. Bluetooth microphone. It does a good job. It is a little bulky, like you see. Using it as a lavalier is not necessarily the best thing you can use it for, but it is a good mic, does a good job, has great range. You don't necessarily have to be right on top of your subject, but you could hold it like a microphone if you wanted to. I've had success putting it on a belt loop and just walking. Sort of depends on the environment that you're in. I've had a few situations where I'm like in a big hangar or something like that and just don't seem to pick up the sound at all in those situations. Very strange. Still working through it though. There's some better microphones out there, but this one does fine, and I'm glad I got it. And I'll look at adding some more wireless microphone capability in the future. Anyway, I'm going to turn away from you here for a second. I'm going to first bring up the control panel for the Blackmagic Atem 1. Get rid of me. There we go. Alright, what you're seeing before you is our software control panel for our Blackmagic Atem 1. We use the ME1 switcher in-house. It's located in the studio, excuse me. This is used for any in-house productions, all council meetings. We have some community oral history programs and a variety of other things as well. We got this back in February. It's doing a great job for us, really expanded us out. We have a budget at this cable station anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 a year. Probably averages somewhere around $7,000. As you know, in the video world, that's nothing. So when our old switcher, which was purchased in 1992, was on the fritz, we had to get something more reasonably priced, and we needed to get it in a hurry too, and that's where we ended up with a Blackmagic product, and so far it has served us very, very well. Well, anyway, as you can see right here, we got the program panel for the ME1. You have 8 camera inputs, and that's a true 8 camera input, and you also have black bars, color 1, color 2, media 1, media 2. Right in here you see a preview bus. These mirror what you have above, and again, you know, 8 inputs. First area that there's really a major difference for is the transition control panel. Here you'll notice that I have 4 keys, key 1, 2, 3, and 4. These keys are upstream keys. They're capable of doing luma key, chroma key. You can do a pattern, and you can do a DVE, as in a picture in a picture, which is the most common use of the unit. There would be a picture in the picture right there. You also have 2 downstream keys. That's where my lower thirds currently come from, and this is pretty much consistent with both the units as well. As you can see, each keyer has its own settings you can preset. Have the transition, where you can pick your transitions and your rates, including the mix, dip, wipe, stinger, and the DVE. And you have your capture button if you decide to use that, and if you can get that functioning on your system as well. Alright, we have an audio. As you can see, I'm a little hot still. Let me turn that down just a tad. That probably sounds a little better there. But this is the audio control panel. It works the same on both the Television Studio and the ME1. I have camera number 3, which is my X8n. I have it up and running, and that's where the audio is coming from. And we'll go over into the media. Now this is one area where you will notice a difference between the ME1 and the Television Studio. I currently have 32 stills I can use at any given time. I have 10 loaded right up here. These are the names of my council members: city manager, law director, clerk of council, etc. I also have a couple more later down here, is like the head of the safety service, as well as my bug that I use, and a couple other lower thirds that I've just happened to load in there in case I need them, you know, visit us, YouTube, Facebook, etc., etc. You have these two panels right here, which I currently don't use too much. I really am still getting used to the equipment, and so I really haven't started using stingers or anything terribly fancy in the media pools here. You have Media Pool 1 and Media Pool 2. You'll notice up here you have aux 1. You can choose your output on aux 1. It can be any of the above. Same for aux 2 and aux 3. I'm currently taking aux 2 of my ME1, and it's gone into a Panasonic HMR10, which I have set to record at one of the lower settings to keep the file size a little smaller for when I upload this to YouTube. Our upload speeds here at the studio are not what we need to be yet, so a lot of times I have to compress it and just flat out dummy it down sometimes. Alright, let me go back to the main switcher here, and now I'm going to bring up for you. I'm going to hit and I'm going to select the output of the Television Studio, and we'll give you a quick little tour of that. There you go. So switching laptops here, you can see the panel to the Atem Television Studio looks very familiar. There are some differences, however. As you will notice on both the program and the preview, you have two grayed out or blacked out buttons. These are where camera 7 and 8 are located on the ME1. The Television Studio only has 6 inputs. And so these are not really needed and available, and so they just blacked them out. If you look over here on the transition control, you'll notice that I have access to one keyer. I don't have the 4 that I have on the Atem 1. We just have the 1. And if we go and look at what all it can do Luma key, chroma key, and it can do the pattern. The ME1 does not have the Television Studio does not have a DVD. The Television Studio cannot do picture-in-picture. That is a very important item to understand. For what I use the Television Studio for out in the field, a DVE would be nice. With our limited budget, did it make sense to buy a second ME1? And pay the extra $1,000 to $1,500 for it? No, it didn't. It's something that it would be nice, but for 90% of what we would do out on the field, a DVE just quite honestly isn't required. But anyway, that's noteworthy. The Television Studio does not have a DVE. The Television Studio does have the same two downstream keyers, work in the same way, no difference there. You notice down here in the transitions that the Sting and the DVE functions are blacked out. Again, the Television Studio is not capable of these, so they do not exist on the control panel. Audio works the same way. As you can see, you're seeing that this is camera 1 here is showing an input. However, it is grayed out, and that's because I am pulling my sound through the ME1. Let me go over here real quick. I'll bring up the multi-view of my ME1 so you can see a little bit about what's going on here. I'm sorry. And there we go. Hi. What you're seeing here, this is actually the video from my Television Studio. And what I am doing is, if you're hearing the audio is going through the ME1, the video's coming and going through the television studio. So if you're seeing some latency with my voice, that's probably the reason behind that. It'd be a good little experience to see what kind of latency you get when your audio is coming from one area and your video is coming from another. But as you can see, here's my rack, all my equipment up here. Anyway, enough of that. Let's go back to the media here. Alright, now let me move on. We're going to click on the media tab. Here's the media tab of the television studio. First things you notice, there's nothing over here in the media pools. You cannot bring in the graphics or the motion graphics like you can in the ME1. Again, there's no DVEs and there's no media pools here. Those are two very important things to understand if you're comparing and contrasting the two and trying to decide which one to go with. Also, you only have a maximum capacity of 20 still stores in the television studio as opposed to the 32 in the ME1. I wish this was 32. I could probably do without these, especially since there's no DVE anyway. I would personally wish I had the full 32 all across the board for all the product lines, but that's just not the case there. And loading up supers, you know, if you got your Targa or anything, you just basically drag and drop it where you want. It loads in, boom, you know, you're good to go. So pretty simple there. Let's look at the settings on the television one. Here you have 6 cameras. You got camera 3 and camera 4. These two you can switch between SDMI and SDI inputs. They're one or the other. So there's actually 8 inputs on the television studio, but there are only 6 active inputs at any given time. You have your video standards out. Television studio and the Blackmagic ME1 do the same formats out. Down convert. There is no down converter on the ME1. On the television studio, there is one on the ME1. The television studio does not down convert. Another item that is very, very important to understand. Let me switch on back to the main switcher here, and let me switch on back over to myself. And well, that's a quick little tour. I'm sure I got the names of the 2 units backwards enough. I've probably confused you more now, but once again, the primary purpose of this was just to test some of the equipment and see how it works. If I can help somebody out in the process, that's great. I have other ways you can get a hold of me. If you would have any questions, you're more than welcome to look me up on Facebook at wmpatv. I also have some more videos at youtube.com/wmpatv. And well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed my rambling for a little bit. This has been a great experience. And before I go, one other thing which I've experimented with, which is sort of interesting, and I'll try to get some video up at this in the next week or so, is that I've actually had some success taking my television studio outside of here out into the field, and I'll go ahead and set up for my production and all. I use a program called MX Lite. I've been able to set up a stream to Ustream through MX Lite coming out of my television studio. And then back here at the studio, I've been able to take my laptop and my ME1. I've been able to bring up Ustream, in this particular instance, on my ME1, display it full screen, and then switch it out over the cable system, and it with pretty good results actually. So if you stop and think about that, what I just described, for a public access station that still broadcasts in standard definition when it's all said and done, I just explained to you an ability for my station and myself to broadcast live from anywhere where I have access to high-speed internet using MX Lite, my ME1, and a Blackmagic television studio. It's not ideal. I mean, there's Turntex cubes, there's other things out there that would perform that function, and down the road we'll probably get set up where we can do such a thing. But as I said, we have a very limited budget, and so we have to sort of improvise. So that's one interesting outside of the box application that I could see us using these all this system here. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my rambling and my tour. I hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you later. See you later.